In this video, we're going to look at the provisional cast-on method that uses a crochet hook. We have some scrap yarn, which is similar in weight to our working yarn, and a crochet hook, which is similar in size to our working needles. We'll start with a slip knot. And for us non-crocheters out there, this is just going to be a simple chain. That's all we need the crochet hook for. So insert the crochet hook into the slip knot, yarn over and pull it through. Yarn over and pull through. And that's all we need to do with the crochet hook. Now we want to make our chain a few stitches longer than the number of stitches that we need for our cast on. For this video we're going to do 10 stitches, so we'll make the crochet chain a bit longer, maybe 15, but I forgot to count, so we'll just do a bunch of stitches and then we'll only use 10 of them. You can't do knitting wrong, folks. Doesn't matter how many, it's not precise for your chain. Okay, so we're going to cut this yarn. Now once we're done, we're going to unravel this crochet chain, so we need to know which end to be able to unravel it from. The end we just finished is the one that we'll be able to unravel easier from. Actually, it only unravels from one end. So we're going to pull this all the way through to secure it, and then we're going to tie a knot in this one end in the tail so that we know which end to unravel from. Now if you look at the chain that you've just completed, one side is going to look like a braid, lots of V's, and they slot into each other, just like your knit stitches. If you turn this over, you'll see a line of hyphens rather than V's. You have your outside part of the braid, but then you have a hyphen in each stitch, and it's this that we're going to use for our provisional cast on. So we're going to get our working needles and our working yarn. Now you're going to want to leave a bit of a tail because we'll need this at the end. And we're going to start in the crochet chain, a few stitches from the end. So we're going to go into this one and we're going into the hyphen. Again, the right side has a braid of knit stitches. The other side has these hyphen loops, just like a hyphen in writing. So we've found our first one, and we're going to get our yarn, and we're just going to yarn over as we would to make a knit stitch. Go into the next one. Make sure that you are going into this hyphen loop here, because otherwise you won't be able to unravel your chain. And the next one. Four. Five. I don't really need to count out loud, do I? Everybody can count. Dear, dear, dear. Now you want to make sure, this is quite splitty yarn, so I'm having to make sure that I haven't caught any extra fibres of the crochet chain in my knit stitches, because again that will make it difficult to unravel the crochet chain. And speaking from experience, that's very annoying, because once you get to unravel your you get to that point of your pattern where you're unraveling your provisional cast on, usually it means you're nearly at the end. The end is in sight, and if it goes pear-shaped at that point, then that's just annoying. 6, 7, 8, 9, and one more. 10. Okay, so we have 10 live stitches on the needle, and we have our crochet chain in contrasting yarn so we can see it down at the bottom. And now we just begin knitting following our pattern, just the same as if you had done a regular cast on. I'm going to just knit a couple of rows here, pull that last one a little bit snug so that you don't lose it. Oops. I'll do some purl stitches. Okay, now I have a handy demonstration here, exactly the same with the cast on provisional, and then we have our pretend project. Now we've got to the point where the pattern says we want to unravel the provisional cast on and get our live stitches back on the needle. You're going to want to have a spare set of needles here, and also, whoops, a sewing needle. We're going to keep our working yarn attached here. Pretend that's attached. We're going to keep our stitches on the needle. We've just finished this row. We're going to keep these here. Now we're going to start unraveling at the bottom here. So we've found our end that has the knot. We know that this is the end we're going to unravel from. So we're going to start here. We need to undo one little loop where we secured the yarn. There we go. And now if you pull that, your crochet chain comes undone. Grab your working needle, keep a hold of this tail, we're going to need that, and start unraveling. This is our first stitch. Now you don't have to panic here. If you go slow and steady, you're not going to drop any stitches. Nothing's going to run away from you. You're in control. Don't let your knitting be in control. It's just yarn. One stitch at a time. Now there is another way to do this. You can go along and pick up these stitches and then pull out your crochet hook, your crochet loops. That's personal preference, whichever way you would like to do it. There we go. And the last one is here. Now, if you count the stitches that you have on here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you always have one fewer because you're actually picking up the previous loops from your work. Now, if you take the tail where you started and you thread this onto a sewing needle, darning needle, tapestry needle, whatever you want to call it, wrap it over your needle, and then secure this in this loop here as it comes down. All you're going to do is just thread that yarn through the side of that stitch, and you just made your extra stitch that you were missing. And now you continue with your pattern. This may be to Kitchener your stitches together, you might be knitting 2 of them together. You're going to follow your pattern. Sometimes you find you've picked them up the wrong way around. If you're using a cable needle, that's easy to fix. Just pull them all the way through and you have them on the right direction. And that's it. That is your provisional cast on, and unraveling your provisional cast on as well. Happy knitting!